What up, though? What up? What up? What up? Welcome back to the Mic Check Podcast. This is T Word, the People's Champ. Thank you for tapping in. Today is Wednesday, Hump Day. About to get into this sports news for the day. Let me cue up a little music for you guys. Beat made by yours truly. Hopefully you enjoy this here soundtrack we got going in the background. Man. So if you're in the chat, you want to join the conversation, feel free to hit the link. No camera required. I just need to get a look at your backstage, and then you can come on and chop it up with me. Today we're gonna do a 30-minute show. We're trying to establish our weekly um, weekly schedule for transmission, and part of that is going to be setting up a time that we will consistently come up on YouTube, give you some sports broadcasting. I'm looking at about 4 days a week at 11 o'clock. We're looking at Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. If the conversation is great, we're having guests and stuff like that, and so long, we'll probably go 11 to noon at Central Time. But at any rate, we want to give you some consistency so you're able to engage with us directly instead of just seeing the pre-recorded videos. I think having a schedule is going to, number one, help the channel grow, but also give us a better read on our community and find out who's supporting us so we can continue to put out great content. You feel me? All right. So that being said, a couple of things I want to talk about today, specifically in boxing. I want to talk about a recent interview that was conducted by Akim Barak over on the Zone. I believe it was the Zone Boxing Show, and they had Adrian Broner on there, and he had a lot of things to say. Specifically, he talked about overcoming some. I don't like to use the word demons, some challenges in this life. When you're a young athlete, access to a lot of money, you're around people that have a lot of money, you can fall into some bad habits. He fell victim to that, specifically party, kicking it, being wasteful, purchasing things he didn't need. And then he also fell into, he didn't really say drug abuse, but definitely, we know for sure there was some alcohol abuse. And you could see that his physical changes and you know that there was some things that he was battling. But he expressed appreciation and gratitude to people in his life that helped him overcome some of those things. He calls Coach Cunningham or Uncle, his uncle or whatever, and basically talked about their relationship and how it's helped him lock in. Like he basically shared a story where AB was getting ready for a fight. He was in camp. He wasn't showing up for the run, so it's hard for him to lose weight. But he would go in the gym and train. You can watch his training footage and tell AB is like a hardcore trainer. Like we in the gym, we in the gym. You feel me? Uh, He didn't always get in the gym as much as he needed to, but when he was there, he was present. So you got to give him credit on the one hand, but on the other hand, you think of it like just underachieving because you're not giving yourself the best opportunity to succeed. And sometimes when you're able to lock in, it actually becomes easier to achieve. You don't have to work as hard. If you think about the guy like I would say Allen Iverson, he obviously enjoyed the party lifestyle and things like that. And imagine if he didn't, how much better he could have been. He was already great. Michael Jordan, he lived the kick it lifestyle. Like Jordan could hang out and do what he want to do, and then go out there and drop 80 on you. So you just think about the potential of people. They don't have those other. I don't like to call them distractions, just other things going on in life. Another one would be Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson could go on a bender and go in the ring and knock somebody out like the first two rounds. So having men's talent get away with stuff like that. It sounds like he was that way for a long time. And more than anything, going up in the weight class is what got him. But anyway, back to his, so his coach basically told him, I believe it was him, he was, all right, you got to stop this. You have partied enough for everybody. What up, though? Chicken talking the building. It's good with you, bro. But yeah, so AB, just talking about this AB interview that he did uh, on the zone, and I'm really getting to them talking about the money thing. That's what I really want to address. But I'm just kind of laying down some tape on some of the other stuff he talked about. I don't want to sell it short, but he was just talking about overcoming just some of his struggles, being able to get in the gym and lock in, and basically being told like you've done enough kicking it. It's time for you to focus on being the best version of you and get some of this negative stuff out your life. The last footage I saw from training, he was like he did just that. It's not a matter of his ability. I don't think it's ever been a matter of his boxing ability. 147 might have been too big for him at the time when he moved up. I think 147 should be home for him now because if I'm not mistaken, eight he's like 5'6", 5'7". So 147, you should be able to make that well into the 40s, to be honest. If you live a healthy lifestyle, even better, avoiding alcohol, stuff like that. But it sounds like he's been going through some things to try to get his head clear. I don't know if he could do that and box, but he's going to try. He got a fight coming up against what appears to be a soft touch. So with that in mind, I think that this is a good chance for him to get some of that self confidence about what he does for a profession. Like I don't think he's ever lacked confidence in who he is as a man, as a father, as a person, because he's got a heart of gold. But as far as the boxing, it's easy to lose confidence and athletic ability when you're not achieving heights that you once were. So I think that this is an opportunity for him to do that. So I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, I'm gonna order the fight. Let's see. I don't bash AB publicly, but they should be sending him an invoice when he's owed. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. So you already pulled it out. I'm gonna skip all that stuff. I'll circle back. That's one of my main topics for the day. So he started talking about the money, right? And you've done the math. Everybody listening has done. He said something like, he was able to get like 10K a day from Al Heyman is, 5K a day, and the number kept dwindling. But let's just do some math. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, he got $10,000 a day for a 30-day month. So that's going to be 300,000 in a month. Let's say he did that for just 10 months. It's $3 million, right? So we're looking at nearly $3.3.5 million in the year that he potentially requested and received. I doubt it was 10,000 every day, but we're just gonna throw numbers out there because we know the time frame. There wasn't enough context to say. If you think about that average person that he was bringing in and any pay per view things like that, if I'm not mistaken, Pacquiao is his biggest payday. There's no way that they haven't been paying him. They put him on an allowance to save him from himself. Chicken Talk says somebody had to pay off that lawsuit in Cleveland. It wasn't AB. Yeah, and that's kind of been some of the responses I've seen, but that's the other part of what I was going to talk about today. How people get these narratives and without any research, without any supportive evidence, they just run with it. When they hear one little thing, they'll take a very small clip of an interview, they'll take it and spin the shit out of it and try to make it sound like it's something else. And I'm a writer. I understand spin. Like I'm literally a writer by nature. Like I published writings for different sports outlets. I understand how you can take something that was said a little piece of the soundbite, and then you turn it into your story. And all you need is one or two logical or plausible explanations for what you're saying, and it's good to go. It doesn't have to be factual. It just needs to make sense to a few people, and that's what happens with these things. So these people are taking this interview already. They're taking that little bit that doesn't have enough context to say anything about how often he got money. Like there's no hard evidence to say that, oh, they're not paying PPC because Adrian Broner said XYZ. This is the same man cutting up money, flushing it down the toilet, right? Like what the hell? So in my opinion, I just I like to sit down and analyze those things from my own perspective and take what I want from it. Obviously, I don't just support like what PBC is doing or what Top Rank is doing or what they're doing at Match Room or whatever the case may be. That's just not how I roll or Golden or whatever. I believe in supporting the sport itself, and that's why I don't really have a slant to my coverage. People often say you have to pick a side, and I don't. I don't have to pick a side. I like the sport. It's not like football, basketball, whatever, where I need to pick a team, try to be loyal and root for the team. No, I can look at the overall call a spade when I feel like. Um, but I just think that sometimes these promoters and these outlets are getting a bad rap because people are getting their information from third parties that don't give full scope. They take a they create a narrative and then they give you information to support that. Lefty says Broner said when he reaches a certain age, as long as he doesn't blow the money they've invested. I tend to believe that from everything I've seen from people that have made a lot of money with Alhain and PBC, it sounds like he's been telling them what to do with their money. Now, whether all of them are doing it or not, I don't know. We won't find out for probably another 5 or 10 years when this generation of fighters retire. When you see girls, Spears, Deontay Wilder, those guys, when you see them retire, we're really going to find out who did with their money because they're going to be in other ventures and probably around sports. So I kind of, I mean, not kind of, I believe what you're saying. You've been a really reliable, accurate source with your information. So I don't mind sharing what you're saying for sure. Um, but it looks like the guys who are making good money and doing what he's advising them to do are living pretty well. I mean, even despite AB saying he got this, he ain't got that, the dude has never looked broke anytime I've seen him out. I get it. You could borrow something big and put on a facade. I don't think that's any. I mean, the dudes that are real PVC. I mean, even Keith look like he doing real good. He ain't fought much in like 4 years. He's doing really well. So I believe that they're getting really good advice. Al Heyman is somebody that if he's telling you to turn down a particular deal or something like that, he's thinking bigger picture, something long term for you that's going to protect you as an investment because you are your own business. So I don't like when I see these different little storylines put out about well, these fighters over here having trouble, like the pay per view model. That's the other part that I want to discuss. So when you look at, you have so many different outlets that will put on the pay per view. This whole digital buys thing is really a new phenomenon, right? Since we become really reliant on the internet, the digital buys has really become a thing. Prior to that, you had to have some type of service. Either you had cable or you had satellite, and that's how you got your special events, your wrestling, anything where you spent your on top of your regular subscription. Now having these apps and these third party platforms to produce events and broadcast them out there, that gives them a direct line to the money in a more way. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and check that now. You get to get your money in a more linear way, but there's still that back end if you put a fight on paper. It's just as simple as that. Yeah, yeah. I'm checking the messages. We got some hot off the presses. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. So, so basically, what appears on the surface, not what it seems. I got some spin for something to read. So, when you look at like a new entity that was supposed to be the change in boxing, right? We're talking about okay, so let's hey, you wow. I wish I would have got that like 15 minutes ago so I could frame that thing just right, but I got somewhere to go with it. Uh, so when you talk about like trying to change the game, BLK was supposed to come in and put on this Crawford fight just straight up, right? They were supposed to revolutionize what we do. Guess what they ended up doing? They sourced out the international broadcast to integrated sports. That's who has put on, I think, two or three of Floyd Mayweather's last few exhibition fights. And they went and they linked up with the cable and satellite people and the networks, and they were able to sell the fight through cable. So tell me this: if we're to believe that certain fighters receive certain amounts of money, how can you get all the money in without getting the money from the cable and the satellite, which is going to take time because you've done exactly what every other outfit has done, use traditional mediums to make your fight available to more people because your app only has 5 or 6 thousand subscriptions. They did allow you to purchase through the web, but you still had to subscribe. You just didn't have to download the app. So you were using the browser-based version. But even still, let's say you triple that number, make it 15K, just like that. The numbers just don't add up. You feel what I'm saying? So you gotta look at it and go, hmm, is this really is there really a reason to change the structure and model of boxing? Is there? Because the new entity that was supposed to fix it, they did the exact same thing. Look at the zone. They said, no pay-per-views, whatever. And within a few short years, all of a sudden you're getting pay-per-views on the zone. Now, obviously, it's a little bit different because not only are you paying your monthly subscription to access, you're paying 60 on top of that. So you're still paying for an $80 pay-per-view. Because if there's one fight in that month that you want to see, you're either going to go ahead and just take the subscription and try to get the most out of it, and then go ahead and pay the pay-per-view after the fact. So that's $80. How is that different than paying $74.99? Yeah, $80 to PVC for the fight, and you have your Showtime subscription or whatever, and you're getting so much other content that you probably watch. Because I don't watch soccer and I don't watch like MMA and stuff like that. So I'm getting more out of my Showtime subscription than I get out the Zone subscription. Basically, I'm paying like $5 a week to watch fights every Saturday. That's literally what I'm getting out of it. Sometimes we get a double up and we'll get two broad. But everybody's talking about the shift and change the business model. But in my opinion, there's no reason to really change it. If the only thing I would say that needs to change is they need to reset fighters' salaries. And when this next match is coming in, you got your Frank Martins and your Keyshawn, these dudes, you got to reset the money before they become household names or mainstream stars, mainstream boxing, mainstream sports. Before they become the upper echelon, the top 10, all that stuff, you got to reset salaries for those guys and put that cap in there. That's how you save boxing. You don't have to take pay per view away. You don't have to try to take away the belts and all that. That crap don't really matter that much. If you could reset the salaries with this new crop of fighters coming up, boxing is going to be okay regardless. But it's also going to help the fans because it's going to be affordable to consume boxing, which means that more people are going to do it. So by default, the fighters are going to find a way to make some real money. Oh, we got the OG. What up, though? Oh, you muted. There we go. You on, bro? Whenever you ready.
All right, I can hear you. This stream I be moving slow on my phone for some reason.
Yeah, that's why I do it mostly on the PC now. I be having little issues when I try to use my phone. The mic don't work right. I got a fire wireless mic I can't even use on there. What's good with you, bro?
And just making lunch and listening to your show.
Appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. Every view, every tap in, every comment count. I'm trying to grow this thing up.
I feel you.
But yeah, I was basically just chopping it up on the Broner thing because I saw the interview and then I saw where people are posting about this is an indicator that this company's broke and this and that, and I'm like, that narrative just doesn't make sense to me.
Man, Broner is a good guy, man. I always got love for Broner, but there's a lot more that meets the eye when it comes to Broner. It's a lot of things that goes on behind the scene that he's not going to come out and say himself. Put it that way.
Yeah, and I mean, I expect it too. Like he's somebody that's already in the spotlight, so to just be like completely just open and transparent about certain things, it just ain't gonna happen. Especially as long as he feel like he got an opportunity to make money. Like if it was too much out there, BLK, as much as they're desperate for a name that can market, he wouldn't have been that guy for them. They would have just went with somebody else.
I'll tell you like this: if somebody owed me supposedly millions of dollars, I would sue.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, because when they asked him a question, what about the money? He said, I just said, forget it. I'm gonna go make my own money. Nah, that's not how this works. If you got legitimately owe some money, it's easy for you to file a lawsuit.
For sure, especially if you could trace it some kind of way, because there's paper trail of whatever was sent to you. Somebody sit down, knock out the calculator, and tally up what was given and what was earned, and then you get the difference, and they pay your court costs. But obviously, he knows that's not what happened.
You might end up, or you might end up on them.
Yeah, that's why it was better to go get something else. That's what I gathered from it too. Like, nah, you might be in debt because the way you saying you was collecting it piece by piece by piece, man, that add up quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't like the way that stuff like that gets painted, because they take such a small piece of something and try to paint a narrative, and that's just not what I do. You know, I'm gonna look at
we're supposed to believe that nobody's getting paid, but there also ain't no lawsuits.
Right.
You know, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. I can't.
If nobody's getting paid, they should be getting sued.
And I haven't seen that, not even once. Like not one person that I can tell, like a non-promoter, has tried to sue. I ain't seen no fighters go after them. So they doing something.
We see lawsuits in boxing all the time.
Yeah.
But yet nobody has sued this guy and he's not paying them. This is like, you have to really suspend reality to believe that.
Exactly. Or, you know, the only way you buy stuff like that is if that's what you want anyway, just confirmation bias. Like we said before, you just looking for something to support what you already choose to believe anyway, even though it's not true. That pisses me off.
Oh yeah, this is true. But like I said, I'm not gonna say nothing bad about Broner in public. I still roll with Broner. I still ride with him.
Yeah.
But anybody that's got a little common sense understands what's going on.
Yeah, if you're not looking for something to support what you already think, you can see what's obvious, and you don't, you know, when people have to like dissect everything and tear it apart to get to a point, to me, that lets me know you're fishing until eventually you throw enough stuff at the wall, something eventually gonna stick. And it may not even be anything substantial. And that's what I get from it in the whole boxing situation. So it was something else. You could probably answer this for me. I was looking at, so how are they going to manipulate the situation where Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz have a fight, but now the IBF is mandating Andy Ruiz in another fight? Is because one is a title eliminator, which is not really a mandatory because there's no champion there. But what's the precedent on that? Like, how does that usually work? Or does that even really matter because he already has a fight scheduled?
I mean, it doesn't matter. Just like the WBC order Regis versus Ramirez, and Ramirez already had another fight scheduled.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So basically, Andy just lose his spot in line in the IBF. Really, that's all it really boiled down to.
Yeah, he could fight the IBF eliminator, or he could fight the WBC eliminator.
Oh, okay. Okay, so he basically got to pick a path.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how Boots.
He's gonna pick the path of most money.
Yeah, because he definitely make more money fighting Deontay, win or lose. Mm-hmm. And people are gonna look at that loss differently too, losing to Wilder versus losing to Ergovich. Looks different on the resume. Okay, because I wasn't sure like if there's a precedent for that. Because like the back end of boxing, I'm still learning certain aspects of, you know, what type of organization kind of got more pull. I see the WBC do whatever they want, but the IBF tries to stay in line and kind of try to walk the line of their rules. But I was just wondering, would that affect his spot in the rankings if he just turned it down? Like that means the person behind him gets to leapfrog him for an opportunity at a belt.
Yeah, he'll lose his ranking, but that's about it. But these sanctioning orders, man, you get that right back.
Yeah,
you know, people love to put so much blame on these sanctioning organizations, but they got to realize they're doing what the promoters want them to do.
Yeah.
These sanctioning organizations would do whatever the promoters want them to do. That's what they're going to do. They don't move independently. Like
Right.
maybe in the lower weight classes where there's not much money and clout, yeah, they can do what they want to do. But in these glamour division where the money is, they're going to do what the promoter's going to do. Like they talk about, Bevo, Better BF has to fight Callum Smith next. No, he doesn't. No, he does not. That's
No.
because promoters want him to do that.
Gotcha.
If Top Rank wanted him to fight Bivol next, the fight with Bivol could be made next. The same way that they just had the WBO order T.O. and Josh Taylor.
Yeah. Which made no sense to me.
The same way they had the WBC order Spence Thurman.
Yeah.
You know, the same way they had the WBO order Ryder Canelo. Even though this is Canelo's second WBO mandatory in a row. The Caleb Plant fight was for a WBO mandatory. The WBO came out and said that fulfilled his mandatory. Since then, he's fought Bivol at 175, Triple G, who wasn't a mandatory. So now he's back to another WBO mandatory. These sanctioning organizations do what these promoters want. So a lot of times people like to blame these sanctioning orgs. No, they're just taking the heat, stepping in front of the promoters.
They doing the dirty work. But it's the people with the purse strings that's pulling it. And I mean, I've always been under the mindset that the sanctioning bodies are going to do what keeps them paid, and having certain champions with belts just makes sense.
Yes.
And that's why, to me, the belts don't always matter in those regards, because they just want to be able to get the sanctioning fees off of somebody that's going to make the most money. That's not necessarily the best fighter.
Yeah. I mean, like, when was the last time they ordered a meaningful mandatory at like 160 or at 175 or basically any of the higher divisions? When was the last time they ordered a meaningful mandatory? Anyone, IBF, WBO, WBC, or WBA? You not like ordered they're not ordering Gervonta Davis to face Devin Haney.
Right.
You see?
Yeah, even though he's in line with that regular belt, at some point they're supposed to fight to eliminate the belt.
Yeah, they eliminate every belt except for, I think, the one at 168 and that one, and the one at 135. I think those are the two secondary belts they didn't eliminate.
Who's the 168 WBA regular? Is that Morrell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that's the problem, since he don't have the fights on his resume.
Yeah. And it's also because Canelo's there, they're not going to consolidate belts and call it mandatory for Canelo.
Yeah. And see, that's what ticked me off about 168 for the WBC, because in the last 2 years, I feel like as soon as he got that belt, he should have been fighting Benavidez. That was my opinion.
Yeah, but they won't. The WBC is not. I mean, they made up a whole fake belt just to get so he wouldn't have to be called a mandatory against Charlo.
Yeah.
The same way they made up a fake belt for Lomachenko so he wouldn't had to be called mandatory against Haney. Yeah. And then now if you see down at I think it's 118 where Nonito Donaire fights. Okay, yeah. Maloney has skipped. He has removed himself from the WBC mandatory with Nonito Donaire. So now the WBC is going to go down the line to the next highest challenger. Mm-hmm. To see who called it first. Now, when Ramirez skipped the WBC mandatory with Regis, the WBC said, no, we're going to let you fight a voluntary. They didn't go down the line because they didn't want to embarrass Tio and have him come out publicly and turn down the fight the same way Ramirez did.
Yeah. Okay, so what was the question I was about to ask? All right, so Regis won that belt off a champion, right? That wasn't a vacant belt.
No, that was vacant.
It was vacant. Okay, so he was required to have 2 mandatories within a year, if I'm not mistaken, but one was declined.
Yes. So he gets the same way they do in Oshaki Foster now, where he has to fight his 2 mandatory because he won a vacant. That was supposed to happen with Regis. What they were supposed to do is say, okay, since Ramirez declined, Tio, you're on the clock. But they didn't because they didn't want to embarrass Tio. And Top Rank. So they said, you can get a voluntary. But they're doing the same thing at 118 with Maloney and Nonito Donaire. Maloney refused, so now they're about to go down the line of next highest rated contenders.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, because all of those belts are vacant at 118. That's right. Yeah. Now I did see something. I think I saw initially a May date for Inoue and Fulton. Is that moved to April now?
I have no idea what's going on with that.
I
know it's
hearing
done. And I have no idea. I have absolutely. It should be announced like soon.
Yeah. Well, if it's April, they got to get it out there now because we're that's basically 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, but I thought it was May also.
Yeah, I had it like late May, but I seen something like within the last couple of days where somebody was saying April 30th. They're trying to make it a weekend fight, so it'll just be the wee hours of like a Sunday morning fight.
Well, I know one thing: the fight is made, and they're going to get it done, which I'm happy about. We need to worry about Tank and Ryan, and Fury and Usyk, and shit. Also, fucking Haney and Lomachenko.
Lomachenko, yeah. So you got your you posted your what is it, the fight alert meter? So give me a color on those 3 fights because I can't remember what you put in the post. I think you asked about a couple of them. So Tank and Ryan, are we green or are we red or somewhere in the middle? Because I can't recall necessarily. Let me see. I'm gonna see if I could pull it up. Yeah, I can't get to it right now. This computer's slowing me down. But in my opinion, probability wise, just by what's coming up on social media, like with Tank, he's in the gym and all that good stuff. And then Ryan, he basically like stay focused, whatever. To me, it feels like if it's up to them two, they ready to go. But whatever promotional stuff got to be worked out. They're putting pressure on the promoters to get it done now.
Yes.
Rather than
if it's up to those two, they would be fighting today.
Yeah. And I thought for a minute, I thought Ryan was scared, to be honest.
Nah, Ryan wants this fight because why would you go in there and fight Regis for a quarter of the money you'll fight Tank? A dangerous fight. Or you fight Haney for a quarter of the money you would get to fight Tank.
Yeah.
If you're going to fight somebody, if you're going to fight somebody, then you're going to want to fight Tank. I'll tell you right now, if they sent Devin Haney a contract to fight Tank instead of Loma, Devin Haney would skip the Loma fight and fight. Everybody from 140 to 130 would skip their next fight to fight Tank or Ryan.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because that's how much clout you get.
To the table.
Yeah.
And if you happen to win, you're gonna run it back for the rematch money too.
Yeah.
Look
at all the guys that take his fault, like Raleigh. Now everybody want to fight him. Isak Cruz, everybody want to fight him. Now it's about to be the same with Hector Garcia. Everybody gonna want to fight him because everybody want to associate themselves with Tank. Well, I beat this guy better than Tank did.
Yeah. Go beat the leftovers, as they say. But ultimately, you're gonna use that clout off that to raise your profile and keep making money because now people want to know what you're doing leading up to or whatever. Yeah.
When I went to the Spence Ugas fight, besides Spence, the next guy that got the highest rooted for was Pitbull Cruz.
Pitbull, yeah.
He was the next highest.
It looked like it was lit. I watched it from TV, and it looked like it was turned up by the time. By the time he got there, especially it was an exciting fight too because he was knocking Gamboa. That was a Gamboa fight, right?
Yeah.
So he was knocking him around. So that's gonna get the crowd on their feet anyway. But people knew who the hell he was off a loss.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Everybody started crying. Everybody started wanting to fight him.
Yeah.
After that, and everybody's calling out Pitbull Cruz. It was funny how they want to fight Raleigh now because I remember before the Tank fight, they were saying Raleigh was a bum and he ain't this and he ain't that. But now everybody want to fight Raleigh.
And they looking at him like an easy win too.
Yeah. And then you can say, well, I beat him better than Tank. Well, I don't know how many people can do that because you got to get him out of there.
Yeah, you got to get him out of there in 2 or something.
Yeah. And Raleigh is a strong dude.
Yeah.
And he's a hard puncher.
Yeah, because he gave Tank enough reason not to just run in there and just go for broke. Like, he took his time and set that up.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody can't do that, but they definitely would go in there and try to fight him to pull the clout off of, well, I beat him 2, or I got him in 6, or I got him in 5 also, something like that.
Yep.
But so I would say that one's in the green for me. I feel like that fight's going to happen. So the other one, you said Fury Usyk. What is there cause for concern? Yellow?
Well, and that's just going by the public statements they've made the last couple of days. With Fury not wanting, with Usyk wants 50-50 and Fury don't want to give up 50-50. They keep saying they can make more money in the Middle East, but so why aren't they over there fighting in the Middle East?
Right.
I don't understand that.
I mean, if that's the opportunity, I'd rather go over there and split that 50-50 because that's probably bigger than what's already.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. There's more money over there, but I don't understand why they're not fighting over there. That part isn't making sense. If they're saying where they're offering more money in the Middle East than they are in the UK, but they're fighting in the UK, nobody has explained why they would pick the UK for less money over the Middle East for more money. That's why I think it's capped. The Middle East stuff is capped.
Yeah,
that just don't make no sense.
Who the sourcing for some of this money is?
Yeah, it just don't make no sense. And it seems like nobody's asked that question. Well, if you can make so much more money in the Middle East, why are y'all fighting in the UK? None of that makes any sense. If the Middle East gave you an offer for way more money and why would you turn it down?
Yeah. And
but nobody's asking that question.
Yeah. They can't blame them. Yeah, that is a logical perspective. Like, why, if the finance is there and it's really coming down to a split, hell, if we get more money, I could give you 50-50 if we're gonna double what's been offered or whatever the case may be, something like that. So go for it. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. So that means that somebody just don't actually want to fight.
They don't want to fight, or they lying about what's being offered in the Middle East.
Yeah, and I think Fury probably just feels like
Fury wants to fight AJ.
Oh, okay.
Fury wants to fight AJ, and if AJ would have fought like originally in December, he would be fighting AJ next.
But it didn't. So wait, was AJ at Fury's last fight? I don't remember.
No.
Okay. And I know sometimes, that's your cue to where you can see who's where, because somebody will be at the other person's fight that's usually not there. And even if they don't do a call out, but I've seen him at so many other people's fight. So I didn't even really put a parallel between them maybe lining up for a fight. It looked like to me, AJ was trying to get some recovery going and get a little steam and then try to fight Wilder or Fury to make sure the bag is better. Because coming off 2 losses, I don't see him quite as marketable as if he gets a little streak going and then come at one of those guys.
I don't understand. Fury's never wanted to fight Usyk, not because he's afraid or whatever. I think it's always been the money.
Yeah, it ain't no bag; it's just belts.
Yeah,
and he's been a unified champion before. He's been lineal champion. So, I mean,
but do you think Usyk deserves 50-50 in the UK?
Not necessarily, outside the fact that he's bringing all them belts.
Yeah, me either. I don't understand how you arrive at 50-50 when, like you said, you're really just bringing the belts.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it on BT, which is Frank Warren and Tyson Fury.
Mm-hmm.
In the US, it'll be on ESPN Plus, which is Bob Warren and Tyson Fury. You'll be fighting in Wembley Stadium, and Fury's last 2 fights have done like almost 150,000 tickets sold.
Wow.
Frank Warren will be the promoter of the show. Like, everything, Fury's side is doing everything. I understand you're bringing the belts, but you ain't got no skin in the game.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of another situation.
Yeah. When you laid it out like that,
it's like
that's the first place my mind went. I'm like,
none of these guys, they're not bringing anything but a belt, which is good. A belt, which is good, but financial wise, you're not even you don't even have a company to help push paperwork.
Yeah.
You're taking like you're not alleviating any expenses on one side, but you want so much.
Yeah. You just come to participate, really.
Yeah,
Yeah. You're not putting the production on. You just come to participate.
yeah,
Yeah. That's definitely a very strong parallel. Um, even kind of like what they bring to the table, like, oh, you've been undisputed in another weight class or whatever. I think
yeah,
the only difference I would add here is that Usyk has actually beaten
yeah.
somebody from that way to say I'm known in this market. So I think
He's beat AJ and Tony Bellew, where enough that his name is on the radar there.
yeah,
So, but he's not. I mean, he's not on a Dillian White's level or even Derek Chisora's level as far as
right,
popularity and name known. Even though he fought Chisora, he's still not on Chisora's level. Chisora can schedule a fight tomorrow and sell out Wembley Stadium easily. Now, I mean, like Usyk, what are you not even bringing Ukraine money in? They at war.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he
Like,
got
really, what are you bringing to the table? Besides, you got the 3 belts, which is good, but belts don't sell fights.
so just based on how you view the game. If you were able to just go in the room and solve that problem for them, what's the offer you throw to Usyk to try to get him in the ring to get him to agree to it? Like, what's the split as far as like the pay per view numbers or whatever?
I would go 60-40.
60-40?
60,
And
yeah.
do they do the gate the same over there as
I mean,
far as,
look, I would if I wanted to be an asshole, I would go 65-35.
wow?
And if you want to turn that down, and Frank Warren say, okay, well, you're fighting Daniel Dubois next. Call the mandatory.
Yeah,
And then after that, you're fighting Joe Joyce. Call the mandatory. Because the only person you can skip your mandatories for to unify with is Fury.
yeah,
And I got the next 2 fighters. I got the 2 fighters that's next in line for your mandatory. So what you gonna do? You either gonna take this deal, or you're gonna be fighting for a lot less money against Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce.
yeah.
All the leverage is on Frank Warren's side.
And those ain't easy fights necessarily for him either.
You can't say, well, I'm gonna fight Wilder because I'm a unified. No, because Wilder doesn't have a belt. The only unification that'll trump the mandatories is Fury.
Yeah,
So you got to play ball.
yeah. Hopefully he will. I mean, because
Right.
they were supposed to be set for April 2, right? That
Yeah,
was
April
target?
29th.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Which is 9 weeks away. Which Ryan versus Tank is 8 weeks away. That's why I'm on red with that one. Especially if it's not announced today, then
Yeah.
I'm all the way.
Yeah, I was expecting a schedule announcement like today. Did they do what day of the week did they do last year when they did their schedule release? What day of the week did they do it? Did they do it midweek?
I don't know.
I can't remember, but I felt like it was gonna be today. I've been in my head saying that schedule's coming out because the Super Bowl was Sunday. All the news about the Super Bowl, they've talked about that for 2 days already. Today will be the day to jump on the coattails of that and come in with some news with an announcement because there's not a lot of other sports stuff. And before NFL free agency becomes a topic,
Yeah.
you got to get in there. All right, and there was one more you said, Haney and Lomachenko. So
Yeah. It's like they've gotten quiet, but they got all the way to May, so that's not really too much of an issue, I should say.
yeah,
So they got
and the
all the way
main
to the-
issue with that was date, right?
They said May 20th. I think that was set. It was, I don't know what Bill was talking about when they said they wanted Loma to give up some more. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds kind of weird because I know the date was the initial issue because they were trying to work it around Ramadan or something like that.
Yeah.
But if that ain't no issue, well, hopefully that fight happens. I want to see it. I'd favor Devin by a wide margin, though. Like, I think he's gonna beat
I favor Devin, but I don't favor him by a wide margin. Even though Loma did look like shit his last fight against Ortiz, I think.
I think it was Rust.
Yeah, it could have been Rust. Rust.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna be a pretty close fight. I think Loma's a live dog in that one.
Yeah, I mean, I know he gonna put up a really strong fight. I feel like it's just not gonna be enough because Father Time is undefeated, and it's just he got them ring years on him, in my opinion, from that long amateur stuff and then coming into the pros. Not a bunch of fights, but I just don't know if he'll be able to keep it up throughout the fight, and he can't wait till the end of the fight to try to catch up to Devin like he waited for.
I don't think he'd do that because Devin ain't got that power that Tio had. I mean, Tio was at 135. Tio was a problem. He was
he could
dynamic fighter, athletic, quick, powerful. Tio was very dynamic at 135. But so he's not. He more has to worry. His thing is getting past that jab. That's what he's going to have to worry about with Haney, getting past that jab.
Yeah.
And if it's close, don't be surprised if you see a decision in Loma's favor, because they really want Loma versus Shakur. That's what Top Rank really wants. They want Shakur they want to pass the torch to Shakur.
Okay, I was going to say that's a marketing thing because I know that they can't necessarily like Shakur more. It's got to be that's going to be their next flagship guy, their next Crawford, whatever.
Yeah. So
man, I will hope that Shakur move on and go independent when this deal is up.
I don't know.
I just think he could do more with a different outfit. Like I like the way that Top Rank builds prospect to contender level fighters, and sometimes they become early champions. But once they get to that point, those guys just kind of level off and they never get the notoriety I think they can. And even if they make a little money, they could be much bigger stars working with other people. And they
I see it. I see it to a certain degree.
Because look at the way Crawford fights. That's an exciting style. He knocking people down. He getting people up out of there. He getting stoppages. But yet, a guy who's getting.
So let me ask you a question. Yeah, that's an exciting style. But do you think Crawford is a likable person?
Nah, he's not people friendly.
Okay. I think that has a lot more to do with it. Even though, Mike Tyson. You look at Mike Tyson. He was an intimidating guy, but that still attracts people. You look at Floyd Mayweather. He was a braggadocious and a braggart, but that still attracts people to Terrence just has no quality that attracts people to him. Like
I feel that.
I don't know. It's like he's not a guy that you would be like you want to sit down and kick it with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Nah, I get exactly what you mean. He don't seem like he could be the homie. And that's
exactly. It's like it's a disconnect somewhere. I don't know. This just seems like a disconnect. Like even with Tyson, you be like, yeah, me and Tyson. He was an intimidating guy, but you could go to the club with Tyson, do some coke, go home with some women. You know what I'm saying?
You can party with him. Yeah. You just don't know from Bud. That's facts though. And I know that's part of it, but even still, as the promotional company, your job is to take whatever little thing people will attach to about a fighter, and then you prop that thing up and you put it in people's face, because they seem not to have a problem doing that for any other fighters at Top Rank, but yet they couldn't find that thing for him. And I get
that person. He also has to be a willing participant in that too.
True.
But like I said, trust me, I think they tried. They really tried, but he just didn't connect.
Yeah. But it'll be a lot easier with Shakur for sure. Like if that's
because Shakur connects.
Yeah.
Also, I think a lot of it is also where you are born, where you're raised. You got Tank like with Baltimore. You got Shakur like with Jersey.
Yeah.
You tapped into the culture and you can tell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can tell you tapped into the culture. It's who's another? You got Earl from Dallas. You got who's another? Well, Wilder's from Tuscaloosa, but he's a country boy. Most heavyweight champions from Alabama, wasn't they?
Seemed like it. But yeah, Wilder easy to connect with just because, and he gonna talk too. Whether he right or wrong, he gonna talk, and he's engaging. And he a PK, so he's used to that get up, that performance kind of personality where I ain't afraid to get up and speak my mind and stand on it. So that's easy to connect to. And then he got a couple memes out of his little interviews, and that's a win. So, yeah, there's some marketability there that's just built in with those dudes. But location does matter. Keith just figured out I just got to have a mouthpiece, and that works.
Ain't nobody.
Yeah, I think that's part of what got away with Bud. But the biggest issue for me is just that it just seems like there was really no no really effort to try to figure it out either. It's just like, look, we're gonna try to make some money together and see how it goes. And eventually the train stopped and didn't get rolling again. But their next in line should be able to carry the torch for them. And then I think if they can hang on to Keyshawn, that's somebody that could probably move it forward a little bit too. I think he has a disconnect.
Keyshawn is kind of, I don't know. Like when you see him talk, I didn't know he was like that.
What do you mean, kind of mouthy?
No, it kind of sassy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at first he wasn't like that, but then I had seen him a couple times, and I
I had even heard him on an interview, like when he was still an amateur. I don't remember him being like that.
Well, he gave himself a nickname. Once you give yourself a nickname, you are creating a persona. So he called himself the businessman, and then he talks about trying to grow himself as a business. So he understands, oh, I got to market me to make my business grow. So to me, I think that's just something, that's a persona he's creating, and he's trying to create it early while he's getting wins as well. Because even if he gets exposed as being not what we think, he's already built a persona where people still gonna be like, oh, he'll get him next time, that type of thing. I think that's the whole scoop with Keyshawn Davis. I got a profile on him coming up. I did Frank Martin profile today. I got Keyshawn coming up next. But I see the potential there. I think that he could surpass the stardom that like his buddy had, because I just think he's willing to get in front of the mic and talk and perform and become that guy, like kind of like a villain. And then when you got like Kid Austin trying to become like, I forget what they call it, where they both villains to me. But
what you think about Jared Anderson?
Off each other. As far as like stardom, I think Jared Anderson is it, but he gonna have to go somewhere else. I think that he could get to that Wilder level just because he has the shock and awe factor. He's kind of like he quirky already, and I don't think it's like a put on. I think that's just who he is, and he's a likable dude. So I think he'll be like a really big star in boxing. Personally, they just gotta get him a belt.
Well, we'll see. I haven't seen a connection with him yet. I haven't really seen him connect. He done had exciting fights and viral knockouts, but I haven't really seen that virability with him yet. As an American heavyweight, that you should be and fighting on ESPN, you know what I'm saying? You should have been seeing that virability with him.
Yeah. So I guess when I answer from a perspective of possibility, not really like necessarily where it's at. Like I can see the elements are there. But again, that's why I said maybe he needs to go somewhere else, somebody that could take those little things and they're going to make sure it make it onto the platforms where it's going to be seen and the knockouts go viral and people are talking about it. And he's doing interviews where people get to see his personality. Like, I don't even see him do press runs before his fights. Like, I don't see him popping up on interviews or anything. So if you're not watching the fights and the little specials that they do on the fight card, on the broadcast, you really don't know who that dude is if you're not a boxing fan already. But if you show somebody the highlights, they like, oh snap, that dude can get to it, So,
but that's the problem with a lot of fighters. They only show up when they got to fight. That's why Ronnie Garcia ain't had a fight since last summer, right?
Right. Wait,
he hasn't left. He hasn't left the news cycle since, right?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't just show up when he has a fight. He's constantly in a news cycle, constantly. And he ain't even fought since last summer. Yeah, he's kind of, people hate on him talking about Instagram this and it. No, he knows how to market himself. He's constantly in the news cycle. He never disappears. A lot of these fighters, they disappear. You won't hear from them again until it's time for them to have a fight. They don't give any people. They don't give people anything to connect with. And that's one thing about it. Content is king now. You got to constantly be putting out content.
Yeah, I think Tank is on that. He's on that now because you see way more from him because there's no reason for him to really be posting anything or being mixed up in anything, but you're seeing him do that more since he had his disconnect with Floyd where he's trying to do it himself. He's on stuff a lot more. Like I saw him do interviews when he didn't have a fight, like in between Rolly And Hector, that was what, May to January. So that's like 7 months. But he still was in the news cycle all through that time, doing different things. Like I saw him on a bunch of different interviews. Like I saw him getting exposure in areas and domains where he normally wasn't. Obviously, Ryan does it because he's got to be visible for all the sponsors that spend money with him too.
Yeah, yeah. You see,
Yeah.
what's his name? Tank on all of the culturally relevant shows.
Mm-hmm.
The $1 million worth of games,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
He went on the Pivot. No, not the Pivot. He went over there on what's his name show? Brandon Marshall show. I Am Athlete. He went on there. Yeah, he did a lot of stuff, media runs leading up and after the fact. And then I think having the rise where he could pop in and out, that's actually working out for him. He came on with you. So you had Tank on twice, right?
No, I just had him on once. I had his coach on twice.
Gotcha. Okay. But yeah, but that's
I had
what
his
it
coach
is.
on last year.
Platforms.
Yeah, and being from a culturally relevant city like Baltimore helps.
Yeah, that's facts too. Location is everything. And I mean, I think that I know that he's about to probably eventually fade out once he gets tired of boxing, but I think Errol Spence could tap in more too, but he's connected to like the faces of Dallas that's gonna put his name out there whenever possible. Like Jerry Jones, that's a great mouthpiece. All the rappers like Tuck and all of them dudes, they're gonna put him out there too. But I think with him becoming a promoter and having dudes that's gonna be based out there working with Derrick James, he needs to be visible to make those dudes visible until they become household names, and that's gonna make his go up.
Since AJ is with Derrick James now, yeah, he should be visible.
Yeah.
Connecting himself to the AJ brand.
Yeah. And that's gonna expose him where he could bring a fighter almost anywhere in the world, and they're gonna get that recognition because of that tie. People are gonna see the connection. Yeah, that would be smart business.
One thing Floyd did, and why they hate Floyd so much, the boxing media per se, why they hate Floyd so much, is because he circumvented the boxing media.
Yeah,
he didn't play to them. You know what I'm saying? He realized how much of an echo chamber boxing media is. Everybody's just talking to themselves, is not getting outside the boxing world. So he circumvented them. That's why they hate Floyd so much, because he made them worthless.
Yeah. Because he the one who put fight hype on, right? Basically, he took that avenue.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, now that's
and Dante's Boxing Nation.
Yeah. Now that's a hustle in itself. If you could find an outlet that you have easier access to, that's gonna do the leg work, and you just gotta give them access to you. They're gonna talk about
just content. That's all it is content. He understood. Floyd understood early on that content is king.
Yeah.
Like Kanye West. Like when he came out that documentary, he had this was years ago. He just had a video camera follow him around before anybody was doing that.
Yeah, no, that's smart marketing.
Yeah, but you got to be a visionary.
Yeah, 2 steps ahead at all times.
Yep.
But I do see all the fighters that's currently active that have promotional aspirations, whether big time or small time, they all should be kind of doing that. Creating series behind the fighters that they're looking to promote, and you got a camera with you all the time. Like all the people that Tank's about to have come under him, you need to have a camera on them. And
there's no reason exactly. There's no reason you shouldn't be putting out content on a regular basis.
Yeah. I think that's why, to me, like, I don't know what you think of Kid Austin, but I think that's why his name's even in half these conversations. They just marketed him and positioned him in the right places and broadcast it where people knew his name, even though he hadn't done anything.
Yeah, I haven't really paid too much attention to him, but I know I found out about him because I like to tease him and say that's your nephew, but Matt, MVO Matt?
Nah.
You know Matt. Anyway, his sister has a baby by Kid Austin's father.
Oh, okay. They call him his nephew.
And say that's your nephew. But
yeah,
that's how I came about, to find out who he is. But yeah, his name has been ringing bells.
Yeah, he's he and the skills versus the marketing aren't on par together, but he's been in camp with some notable fighters. Like before he went up there and I think he worked with. Well, he definitely worked with Devin, I believe. Yeah, and then he also worked with Sean Porter. So he's been in the right spaces with the people that could say his name at the right time and just get his name out there. He just got to get the skills to catch up to that, and everything will be good to go. But they figured out, like, him and his dad have a good marketing approach that's going to get it there. So I'll see what's going on with him. I just think he needs to stay away from Keyshawn for a little while and develop, because that's going to be ugly for him.
Let me see. Yeah, he didn't even fought he fought his first 10 rounder, right?
Yeah. And he was struggling. There's a lot of that. Broke that fight down after the fact. And they keep putting him in there with dudes that don't even belong in the weight class. So he's able to just like overwhelm them with his size. And this particular fighter, he couldn't do that to him. And then the dude had good footwork and just stayed away from him. And, you know, made it an interesting fight when really it should have been easy work.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, T, I gotta get off here.
Yeah, I gotta get going too, man. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it there. Hey, y'all, thanks for listening. This has been the Mike Check Podcast. Until the next time. Hey, don't forget to check out Chicken Talk. Don't forget to.
Yeah, I got a show tonight.
Oh yeah, what time?
6 p.m. Eastern with Kurt Emhoff, boxing manager. Also was an advisor to the show Ring City. You remember Ring City Boxing?
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the guys that advised them to get it started up.
Okay, you already got the appointment set on YouTube?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna drop it in the comments down here for people that listen to this later. Hey, appreciate you helping me out today, bro. And I'll catch you on the next one. To everybody out there listening, y'all be cool. This is T Word. Peace.